Bob McManaman, Arizona Republic. Published 7:03 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, April 21, 2019. There was a silver lining that came with last season's 3-13 record for the Cardinals. Though it tied for their worst finish since relocating to the Valley in 1988, it came with the reward of the first overall pick in this week's NFL Draft and the first pick in every round thereafter. It also afforded the Cardinals the luxury of owning the first right of refusal when it comes to waiver claim priority, a position they will continue to retain through the first month of the 2019 season. General Manager Steve Keim and his lieutenants have taken full advantage of those claiming rights, snatching up some significant players as soon as they became available. They were just as aggressive in free agency, signing nearly 20 new faces to bolster the roster at several key positions. By landing new starters and bringing in more depth on the offensive and defensive line, at linebacker, cornerback, safety, tight end and wide receiver, they've put themselves in position not to have to draft for need when the draft gets underway, with the first round on Thursday at 5 p.m. I think it was important to be aggressive through the wire claims and through free agency to give us the opportunity to have some flexibility where there weren't positions that were in absolute need, Keim said. Again, that's the tough part of this business. It's natural that you can stray towards position of need. It's what gets you in trouble. Quote, "You have to take the best player available because I say it again and again, your needs in May are always changing, so, what we need in October, November will be different for what we needed this spring. But, you can't have enough good football players and you can't have enough depth." Everyone is speculating about what the Cardinals will do with the no. 1 pick. Will they really draft former Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray just a year after trading 2 picks to move up 5 spots in the first round and select UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen? Anything seems to be possible. That pick, should Arizona keep it and use it, will certainly set the tone for the entire draft, which runs through Saturday and will take place in Nashville. But keep in mind that there's a very real possibility the Cardinals may end up trading out of the top overall spot to pick up more draft picks if the right deal were to come along. In the meantime, there are several areas where the franchise will look to add key components to its rebuild roster, both on offense and defense, and there likely will be a few surprises along the way. The Cardinals could use an extra young pass rusher, another disruptor somewhere along the defensive line, more help in the secondary and definitely another playmaker on offense at wide receiver. Over the next 4 days, we'll evaluate the roster and assess where the team most needs help. First up, quarterbacks and running backs. Quarterbacks on the roster: 3 starter, Josh Rosen; backups, Brett Hundley, Charles Canoff. Need level, low evaluation. If new head coach Cliff Kingsbury can convince Keim and team president Michael Bidwill that Murray is the best quarterback to run his version of the air raid offense and that the diminutive Murray can be a real star in the NFL after throwing for 4,300 yards, 42 touchdowns and running for an additional 1,000 yards and 12 more scores last season as a first-time, full-time starter for the Sooners, then don't be surprised if the Cardinals move on from Rosen and go with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. It would be a gutsy move, but one that many industry insiders seem to believe will happen. Rosen didn't have the best rookie season in 2018, completing just 55.2% of his passes for 2,278 yards with just 11 touchdowns against 14 interceptions in 13 starts. Entering the draft a year ago, however, he was widely viewed as the most NFL-ready passer of the bunch, and his performance was hindered greatly by an ongoing churned-over offensive line that was beset by injuries and inconsistencies. He didn't get any help from his play callers and never got enough out of the running game or his wide receivers to make a real difference. Rosen did, however, show plenty of toughness and resiliency along the way despite being constantly sacked and harassed, and that's something Kingsbury said has stuck with him since replacing Steve Wilks as coach. Kingsbury is also on record as saying Rosen can run his offense effectively and noted that two will be tied together on this deal, so we want to maximize together what we can be offensively. The Cardinals signed Hundley, the former Valley Prep product, to a 1-year deal as a backup. He has some of the dual-threat abilities of running and passing that seem to be very attractive in Kingsbury's offense, but after 3 nondescript years in Green Bay as Aaron Rodgers' backup and 1 season in Seattle last year where he never took a snap behind Russell Wilson, it's difficult to know just how valuable he may or may not be. Meanwhile, put up some impressive passing numbers in college at Princeton and spent most of last season on the Cardinals practice squad. It isn't exactly known how Kingsbury and the new coaching staff feels about him, but he'll probably remain on the roster through training camp until it is determined just where the Cardinals will go with their starter, be it Rosen or possibly Murray. Running backs on the roster: 5 starter, David Johnson. Backups: Chase Edmonds, DJ Foster, TJ Logan, Brandon Wild's need level, moderate evaluation. It will be interesting to see just how Kingsbury decides to use Johnson in his primary offense, and judging from what we've heard, it figures to be a ton. How exactly he will be deployed remains the question, but after signing his 3-year, $39 million contract extension last September, don't expect Johnson to be cast aside anytime soon. He is more eager than ever to return to his 2016 All-Pro form when he led the league in yards from scrimmage and touchdowns scored. His goal remains to get 1,000 yards or more rushing and 1,000 yards or more receiving, which is doable if he gets the appropriate touches and he remains healthy. That was a problem, of course, in 2017, when he missed 15 games after suffering a fractured wrist in the season opener. Johnson didn't seem himself in 2018, which could be blamed on a porous offensive line that saw 10 different starting combinations and a general inability to ever find an even flow, offensively. Make no mistake, though. Johnson could be poised to have a monster season in 2019 if Kingsbury can find him opportunities as both a workhorse running back and a receiver who can line up anywhere. Don't be surprised, however, if the Cardinals draft a running back this week who just might eventually replace Johnson. It could be in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe even later, but the backups behind Johnson don't really elicit a fear factor that makes you think any one of them could someday move into the No. 1 slot. Edmonds has the tools to make the Cardinals at least think about it, but his smallish stature doesn't make him project as a full-time, featured back despite his speed and escapable moves. Logan is an interesting asset because of his extreme speed and kick return talents, but he's never really been given an opportunity and it's uncertain if he will in 2019. Foster and Wilds, meanwhile, feel more like training camp bodies and backup fodder who may or may not crack the final roster. Running back prospects the Cardinals may consider in this draft include Justice Hill, Oklahoma State; Travion Williams, Texas A. Top QBs and RBs in the draft: 1. QB Kyler Murray, Oklahoma; 2. QB Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State; 3. RB Josh Jacobs, Alabama; 4. QB Drew Lock, Missouri; 5. QB Daniel Jones, Duke. Bob McManaman have an opinion on the Arizona Cardinals. Reach McManaman at bob.mcmanaman@arizonarepublic.com and follow him on Twitter at @AsBobbyMac. Listen to him live every Tuesday afternoon between 2 to 5:30 on AM 1060, SB Nation Radio on Calling All Sports with Rock and Manic, and every Wednesday afternoon between 1 to 4 on Fox Sports 910 AM on The Freaks with Kenny and Crash. News and information you can trust. Start your online subscription. Let's block ads. Why?